Hi, my name is Tomasz and you're watching Casual DIY channel. In today's video, my first ever upgrade to the Ender 3 Pro 3D printer. We're going to be changing the extruder. Check out the video. If you're a total beginner in 3D printing, or you just bought your first 3D printer and you're thinking to yourself how you can improve the quality of your prints or the machine itself, we will start with the extruder, as is the one of the cheapest upgrades you can actually do to your machine, and at the same time eliminate some issues you may come across with your 3D printer. So at the back of the machine, we've got the extruder just over here. This is the basic one that comes with the machine with the Ender 3 Pro, and it is made from plastic. Now, usually what happens, you've got a bearing at the back, and very often the filament will actually slip on the setup. Or, some of the parts of the extruder will actually break and wear off very, very quickly. Hence, it's a good idea to change the extruder to a metal one like this one as soon as possible. Now, in this case, it's a dual gear system. So you've got two gears that are actually pulling the filament through the tube and to the nozzle itself. So it should, in theory, eliminate any slippage or reduce it to absolutely bare minimum. So that's what we're going to install instead of the plastic one that we've got with the machine. Right, so it's time to disassemble this. Okay, first of all, we need to remove the filament itself. So we're going to turn on the machine, heat up the nozzle so we can actually release it and pull it out. Okay, so I'm just going to do that now. And we'll just let it to reach that 185 degrees. Okay, with the temperature reached, what I'm going to do, I'm just going to push some of that filament in until it starts coming off from the nozzle. Push it a little bit and then just pull it out. There you go, simple as that. Okay, we're going to start with the tube. I'm going to take that out. There we go, so that is out. Now from the top, that lever here, we're going to disassemble this first. Next, what we're going to do, we're going to actually disconnect the power lead from the motor itself. And now we've got 3 bolts that we need to remove. Make sure that you hold the motor as you do this, as those screws are actually, holding the motor, so you don't want to, drop it accidentally. There you go. We can take that off. And that's the last thing we need to remove from the motor itself. And now we can put the new extruder together. We're going to start with the motor first. As you can see on that shaft there, it does have one flat spot. Okay, and that part there, there's only one securing bolt over here, it needs to go on that flat space. Okay, and just secure it. There we go. Okay, let's continue with the assembly. Now the arm, we need to put 2 things. First of all, the longest bolt you've got in this set, and this part here. Okay, that goes in there like so, and that goes in there. Okay, next what we're going to do, with that part facing that way, okay, where the power brick is, we need to put that together with the motor itself. And you need to pick up the bolt with a flat head like this one. Okay, and that goes in the tapered slot over here. Okay, It is a little bit fiddly, but it's not too bad. Okay, so we managed to get one in like that. Now we can continue with the rest of these. Now we need to drive this bolt through here. Next, what we need to do is align that gear to the filament itself. Okay, so there's a hole for the filament just going through here. Okay, and that part needs to be on the filament itself. Okay, so we're going to release that bolt, take it up, and secure it in place. Okay, just like so. Now we can bring the arm itself and install it in its place. Okay. Okay, make sure everything's nice and tight, but not too tight. Okay, so it's not wobbly, but it's still doing its job. Okay. There we go, that's done. Okay, the next thing is we need to back out this screw just a little bit so it's flush with the rest of the profile. This little bolt goes on the arm. I would suggest putting that before you actually install the arm. My mistake here, guys. But it's not too bad. And now we need to install the spring itself. Okay, so that part goes just over here like that. So let's get that spring in place. Now we can get that bolt secured, making sure the spring is aligned correctly. Okay, that's it. Yeah, everything works nice and tight. Perfect. And now the final part of the whole assembly. Let's just install it real quick, like so. And there you go. So as you can see, the whole assembly is not too bad. It's fairly straightforward. However, if you are ever changing an extruder to this one or any other one, you need to make sure to change the E-steps as the filament will not run correctly and you may have some issues with printing. So now we need to sort out the E-steps for this to work correctly. Oh, and don't forget to plug back in the power cord, otherwise nothing will happen. Let's drive the filament through. Just like that. Just gonna cut the front over here so it's flush with that. Basically, in short terms, I would say is how quick the filament is going through. Okay, so we're gonna preheat the nozzle, otherwise nothing's gonna happen, and we're gonna release 100 millimeters of the filament and see if it actually will be 100 millimeters. Okay, if it's not, then I'll show you the equation of how to change the E-steps that it will actually feed through that desired length. Before we can do anything, we need to preheat the end. So go into prepare, preheat end, and we need to wait for a few minutes. Okay, now the machine is heated up, so we're gonna go to prepare, move axis, go to extruder and change that to 100. And as you can see, the filament is coming out and we need to wait until it does its thing. Okay, so now it has stopped, so we're gonna cut that bit off and see what result we've got. Now remember, we're supposed to be at the mark of 10 centimeters, but we are actually at 67 millimeters. Okay, so that number we need to write down. In the settings of your machine, okay, go to Control, Motion, and then Steps by Millimeters. Okay, and at the end, at the bottom, you've got E-steps, and mine is set up to 93, as you can see. Okay, write that down. Now we need to change that number to be able to achieve the correct feed of the filament. How we do that, I'm going to show you right now. So the equation is actually quite simple. So we got 100 divided by 67, so that's the 67 millimeters of the filament that actually went out, okay, with the current settings, times 93, which are the current E-steps, okay, and the end result is 138.805, okay, so that's the figure of our new E-steps that we need to input in the machine itself. So again, I'm going into the options, control, motion, steps by millimeters, E-steps, and we're gonna increase that to 138.8. There you go. What we need to do now, we need to save this so you don't have to change it every single time. Store settings, and that is stored. So that will be saved. Okay, next time you switch on your machine, that setting will be there. Okay, so let's set it up again. Prepare, into preheat at the end. There we go. 185. Let's wait for that to happen. Okay, it's preheated. Now we can run that 100 millimeters again. There we go. Move axis, extruder, 100. And we're gonna sit and wait until it does its thing. And after that, we'll measure it. Well, looking straight away a lot better. Okay, let's cut it off and see where we are. 100 millimeters, i.e. 10 centimeters. Perfect result. Okay, so now we can put the tube back in. So you can see that what you do, you just push that, get that tube in as far as it goes, right to the end until you can't go any further. Release that, put the plastic lock thingy like so, and Bob's your uncle. That is sorted. So we can push the filament right to the nozzle. And initially this is all now done and set up with E-steps, with everything, and it should give you really good results. However, there may be a slight chance, because of the nozzle itself, you know, the forces that be in that setup, you still may be a few millimeters short. So a good example to sort that out is we're going to mark entrance here, we're going to mark 10 millimeters here, and we'll run again the filament for 10 millimeters, and we'll see if it will be exactly on the point and the E-steps are correct when the whole tubing and the nozzle is connected. Okay, so I'm gonna mark, so that's gonna be the entry point on the filament. Then we're gonna mark 10 centimeters of that, just over here. Okay, so we've got that 10 centimeters marked here, and that point after 10 centimeters has gone should be in this place. Okay, if it's not, we'll see how far it's off and we'll adjust the E-steps. Let's have a look how much we are short, and that's 4 millimeters. So we are 4 millimeters short. Okay, so we can recalculate it again to make the final change to E-steps. Okay, so that was our initial math done. Now we're gonna go for 100 again, and below we're gonna divide it by 100, which is the length of our filament, minus 4, which is the 4 millimeters that we had that we are short, times our E-steps, which is 138.8, and the results we've got 144.58. Okay, let's change the E-steps to that and have a look at the results. Right, I'm just going to mark that filament again, 100 millimeters. And hopefully this time it will be perfect. There you go. I would say that's pretty much perfect. It's just over here. I'm not sure if you can see it on the camera. Absolutely perfect result. And that's how you need to set up your E-steps for a new extruder. And there you go, guys. The extruder is now installed. Hopefully it's far better quality. It's all metal, and you know, you've got dual bearings there, so hopefully the quality of the prints and, you know, longevity of that part will be far greater than the base box standard that came with this machine. And obviously please make sure to change the E-steps, as it will just not work correctly if you don't change the E-steps to the extruder. The figure I've got doesn't mean it will be exactly the same for you, so unfortunately you have to do your own math to get the correct result. But as you can see, it's not too hard, you know. It seems a little bit daunting, but it's not too hard at all. Putting everything together is relatively easy and straightforward. Just a little bit of math and playing around with the setup and you'll be absolutely fine. So that is my first upgrade to the Ender 3 Pro. Can't wait for the next upgrade and some testing of how this performs. But for today, guys, I hope it was informative. I hope you managed to get some good info from this video. If you did, drop me that like button down below. And if you're not a subscriber, please consider subscribing and join my journey on learning 3D printing, upgrading this machine and getting some really cool stuff with this. But for today, that's all. Thank you so much for your time. Take care.